Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt a strange pull, as if something or someone is watching back? 1,000 cultures, 1,000,000 myths, 1,000,000,000 stars. And yet, the same question echoes through every generation. Are we alone? In the beginning, there is only silence, a silence so deep, so ancient, and so infinite that it feels less like an absence of sound and more like a presence of something unknown. When we lift our eyes to the night sky, we see a sea of stars shimmering quietly, each one a blazing sun in its own right, each surrounded by worlds that remain hidden from us, worlds that might be alive, dead, or something in between. And yet, despite this overwhelming canvas of cosmic possibility, one haunting reality refuses to fade. We have never heard a single confirmed whisper from any other intelligent civilization. Not a message, not a clue, not even the faintest echo in the void. This single fact contradicts everything our logic tells us. If the universe is vast beyond comprehension, if planets are as common as grains of sand, if life emerges naturally wherever conditions allow, then where is everyone? Why is the universe not filled with signals, structures, or signs of ancient starfaring species? Why does everything look untouched, unvisited, untouched by the footprints of intelligence except our own? This is the heart of the Fermi Paradox, a contradiction so enormous that it splits the human mind between wonder and dread. Because if intelligent life should be everywhere, then its absence becomes a mystery, and not just a scientific mystery, a cosmic warning. It feels almost wrong to believe we could be alone, because everything we know suggests otherwise. Our galaxy alone contains hundreds of billions of stars, many older than the Sun by billions of years. If life were to arise even rarely, if intelligence were to emerge even slowly, then civilizations should have appeared long before us. They should have developed technologies far beyond ours, spread across stars, created megastructures that shine like beacons, engineered galaxies, harnessed energies we can only imagine. The universe is old enough for entire empires of life to have risen and fallen before Earth even formed. And yet, nothing. The silence grows heavier the more we think about it. Maybe we are looking wrong. Maybe we are too primitive to detect them. Maybe the signals we search for, radio waves, are nothing but the caveman tools of cosmic communication. Or maybe we are too early, the first sparks in a still dark universe waiting for others to ignite. But a darker possibility chills the imagination. What if the silence is intentional? There's a theory called the dark forest principle, which suggests that the universe is not empty, but full of watchers, civilizations hiding in the shadows, silent by choice. Imagine a forest where every creature knows that making a sound invites death. Predators and prey alike stay quiet, knowing that anything loud becomes a target. In such a universe, the only rule is survival, and silence is protection. If this is true, then the reason we find nothing is simple. Those who shout are destroyed. And maybe humanity, with its expanding radio bubble and bold attempts to contact extraterrestrial life, is like a naive child shouting in a jungle full of unseen hunters. Maybe the silence is not a void, but a threat. Maybe the universe is full of civilizations so cautious, so paranoid, that they erase any species that reveals itself too openly. And perhaps we have already made that mistake. But then another thought creeps in. If the universe is truly a dark forest filled with hidden threats, why have we survived so long? Are we lucky? Or simply unnoticed? Then again, maybe the answer lies elsewhere. Some scientists believe that intelligent civilizations regularly destroy themselves, victims of their own technology.
As soon as a species reaches the power to alter its planet, to manipulate DNA, to build weapons of unimaginable destruction, the countdown begins. Nuclear war, environmental collapse, artificial intelligence spiraling beyond control. Any of these could wipe us out. Perhaps the Great Silence exists because every civilization reaches a technological tipping point and fails to preserve itself. If so, we may be approaching our own great filter, a barrier that almost no species survives. Humanity may be racing toward a future that countless civilizations before us have already met, a future where intelligence becomes its own extinction event. Or maybe we've already passed the great filter. Maybe the hardest step was not technology, but the emergence of life itself. If that is true, we are unimaginably rare, a miracle in a mostly barren universe. But if that's the case, why does the universe still feel so empty? There are stranger answers still. Some believe we are in a cosmic zoo, observed, studied, and deliberately isolated, like distant animals being watched through a one-way glass. According to this idea, advanced civilizations know we exist, but choose not to interact until we reach a certain level of maturity. They may be waiting for us to prove we are not a threat to ourselves or others. They may be waiting for us to cross some threshold of enlightenment, peace, or understanding that marks us worthy of joining a larger cosmic community. If this is true, then somewhere out there, eyes older than our sun, minds more advanced than any of our dreams, are silently watching humanity evolve, waiting for us to take our next step. And yet, the eerie part remains. If they are watching, why do they remain silent? Why no message, no sign, no hint of comfort or warning? And then comes the theory that unsettles even the boldest thinkers, the simulation hypothesis. What if the universe we see is not the real universe at all, but a vast simulation created by a hyper-advanced civilization? Perhaps we are characters inside a cosmic program, our physics and limitations designed by creators beyond our comprehension. If that is true, then maybe there are no aliens because the simulation is not designed to include them. Or worse, maybe aliens exist, but the simulation prevents us from detecting them, isolating us to maintain the structure of the experiment. In this view, the Fermi Paradox is not a question about the universe, but about the code that governs our existence. And yet, despite all these theories, hopeful, horrifying, or humbling, humanity continues to search. We send radio waves into the cosmos, unaware if anyone could ever hear them. We build telescopes that scan the sky for artificial signals. We study strange bursts of energy from distant galaxies, wondering if they are natural or engineered. And every night, the universe looks back at us with the same quiet mystery, offering no answers, only questions. Are we the first? Are we the last? Are we hidden, hunted, ignored, or alone? The silence is deep, but our curiosity is deeper, and so the search continues.
And yet the deeper we dive into this question, the more unsettling the universe appears. Because the silence is not simply silence, it is structured, uniform, almost deliberate, as if the cosmos itself has agreed on a rule that no one dares break. Consider this: our galaxy is old, far older than humanity by billions of years. In that vast timescale, entire civilizations could have arisen from dust, mastered science far beyond ours, colonized thousands of stars, and disappeared long before Earth even cooled enough to form oceans. The Milky Way has had enough time for countless intelligent species to flourish and spread. And yet as we peer into the sky, we see galaxies full of energy, but none of the unmistakable fingerprints of advanced engineering. No Dyson spheres collecting starlight, no megastructures eclipsing stars, no impossible patterns of infrared glow.
It's as if every potentially advanced civilization has either remained small, hidden, or extinct. But that raises the question, is something stopping them? Is there some cosmic barrier, some unavoidable doom that destroys intelligent life at the moment it becomes capable of expanding beyond its homeworld? Perhaps civilizations burn too bright, advance too quickly, unlock forces they cannot control, or fall victim to their own nature. We imagine aliens as wise, ancient beings, but what if intelligence itself carries a hidden price? Self-destruction. If that is true, the universe may be filled with the ruins of those who came before, silent and frozen, erased by their own progress. And we, standing at the dawn of our technological age, may be next in line. But another possibility is even stranger. Maybe intelligent life is rare because the conditions required for it are absurdly specific. A chain of coincidence is so delicate that Earth is not just unusual, but almost impossibly unique. Life here required a stable climate, a protective magnetic field, a large moon to stabilize rotation, shifting tectonic plates to recycle carbon, just the right amount of water, just the right type of star, and billions of years without catastrophic extinction. Maybe this combination exists almost nowhere else. Maybe other planets have oceans but no continents. Maybe their stars flare too violently. Maybe life begins but never evolves beyond simple bacteria. Perhaps we are the only species to climb out of the ocean, look at the stars, and ask questions that echo through the void. If that is the case, then the silence is not mysterious at all. It is simply the silence of an empty theater, where the spotlight has illuminated one fragile world and nowhere else. But yet, despite this possibility, the darkness feels too orchestrated. Because even if intelligent life were rare, even if just one civilization in a million reached the stars, that single species should still be enough to fill the galaxy over millions of years. It would only take a few million years, a blink in galactic time, to spread across every star system. So where is that one civilization? Why haven't we found even a trace? This leads to a darker suspicion. Maybe civilizations expand, but something stops them before they become visible. Something in the universe may enforce silence. A predator, a natural law, or a hidden danger. Imagine a cosmic rule that we do not yet understand, something woven into the physics of life itself. Perhaps any civilization that grows too loud, too bright, too curious, becomes a target. What if the universe is a place where survival requires invisibility? What if the silence is the camouflage of life, a cosmic survival instinct? Stay quiet, stay hidden, trust no one. But that explanation leaves another mystery. Why haven't we stumbled upon the remnants of past civilizations? The galaxy should be littered with ancient ruins, abandoned starships frozen in orbit, shattered habitats drifting between planets, derelict megastructures glowing faintly with the last remnants of power. We should have found dead civilizations, even if no living ones exist. And yet, we see none. No monuments, no relics, no cosmic archaeological sites. It's as if the universe cleans up after itself, as if every trace of intelligence is wiped away deliberately. Could it be that the universe has a cycle? Civilizations rise, vanish, and their traces are recycled by time, gravity, and cosmic processes? Or could it be that whoever came before us was so advanced that they left no crude physical traces at all, that their existence was written in mediums we cannot detect, in dimensions we cannot perceive? There is also a possibility that blindsides the imagination. What if life is abundant, but intelligence is irrelevant? What if alien civilizations do not build, do not signal, do not expand the way we assume. Perhaps they evolve inward rather than outward, choosing virtual realities or internal enlightenment over physical conquest. Maybe advanced species abandon the struggle for survival and instead dissolve into digital consciousness, living in simulations, drifting through timelessness without the need for planets or stars. Such civilizations would be invisible to us, not because they hide, but because they no longer play the physical game. Their footprints would be quantum, not mechanical. Their presence would be whispers in the fabric of reality itself. And humanity, still tethered to matter and machines, would never notice them. Yet amidst all these possibilities, dark, hopeful, terrifying, wondrous, a single fact remains unshakable. We are here, looking up, questioning, dreaming. And that alone sets us apart. Our curiosity itself is an anomaly in the universe, a spark of awareness that refuses to be silenced. Perhaps the Fermi Paradox is not a riddle about aliens, but a mirror held up to humanity. It forces us to confront ourselves, our fragility, our future, and our place in the cosmos. Maybe we search for others not because we expect to find them, but because we hope the universe is not indifferent. Because if we are truly alone, then the responsibility on our shoulders becomes unimaginable. We are the first voices in a silent cosmic wilderness, the first beings to wonder, to dream, to understand. And in that silence, our thoughts become the universe's first attempt at knowing itself. But the silence continues, and so does the mystery. Humanity stands on the edge of an ocean so vast we cannot comprehend its depth. We dip our hands in the dark cosmic waters, hoping for a ripple, a reflection, a sign that someone else is out there reaching back. Instead, we find stillness. But perhaps the stillness is not emptiness. Perhaps it is anticipation. Perhaps something waits on the other side of the silence, watching how we evolve, how we treat our world, how we choose our destiny. And as long as we keep searching, the silence becomes less frightening and more like a challenge, a dare from the universe itself.
Yet the deeper humanity tries to break this silence, the more we begin to question whether the silence is something external or something within ourselves. Perhaps the real paradox is not the absence of aliens, but the limits of human perception. Think of how a tiny insect living on a leaf cannot comprehend the forest around it, the towering trees, the countless species, the ecosystems, the mountains beyond. To the insect, its leaf is the universe. Likewise, we humans may be perceiving only a single sliver of reality, blind to the grander dimensions where other forms of life might reside. Maybe alien civilizations don't use matter the way we do. Maybe they don't use radio waves or light or chemical bodies. Perhaps they operate in higher dimensional space, crossing through our universe like shadows we mistake for cosmic glitches. The truth might not be that the universe is empty, but that we lack the tools to detect what fills it. Imagine ants trying to understand Wi-Fi. It's there, all around them, but completely invisible and incomprehensible. In the same way, alien intelligence may be saturating the cosmos, but we remain blind, staring into the void with senses too primitive to interpret the signals. This possibility is both comforting and terrifying. Comforting because it means we are not alone. Terrifying because it means we might be surrounded, observed, and studied without ever knowing. And then there is time, the quiet, relentless force that shapes the destiny of civilizations. The universe is nearly 14 billion years old. Our species has existed for a mere 300,000 years. Modern technology? Barely a century. What if advanced civilizations existed millions or billions of years ago, lived their entire histories, reached incredible heights of knowledge, and then vanished long before humanity appeared? Their monuments could have turned to dust, their signals faded into static, their achievements swallowed by entropy. Imagine an ancient galactic empire that spanned thousands of stars, collapsing eons ago, leaving behind nothing but faint distortions in gravitational fields. We wouldn't know how to see them. We wouldn't even know what to look for. Time erases even the greatest civilizations, and in the vastness of cosmic ages, we might simply be too late to witness their glory. The silence, then, may be the silence of graves, countless forgotten worlds, each holding stories we will never know. And yet, the eerie part is this. If countless civilizations died before us, why did none survive long enough to cross paths with humanity? Why has not even a single timeless species endured? Unless the universe contains a boundary that no civilization can cross, a limit that ends all journeys, no matter how advanced. Something older than the stars, woven into the very laws of existence. Could it be that the universe is structured in a way that prevents expansion? That cosmic distances are so vast, resources so scarce, physics so unforgiving that interstellar travel is fundamentally impractical, even for minds far beyond ours? Light speed barriers, energy requirements so massive they rival stars, cosmic radiation that destroys biological and digital life alike. Maybe the galaxy is simply too hostile for anyone to spread far. In that case, every civilization might live and die within the confines of its home system, isolated by the sheer brutality of space. That would mean the universe is not silent, but fragmented, a collection of lonely islands where each civilization evolves alone, unaware of others across the cosmic ocean. The tragedy of this idea is profound. Life may be abundant, but forever separated, each species living out its entire story without ever knowing that others existed. Humanity may be just one island among countless others, and none of us will ever meet. But then arises a chilling possibility. What if the isolation is not natural? What if something enforces the quarantine? Some intelligence or force older than galaxies may have set rules long ago, rules designed to prevent civilizations from interfering with each other, like boundaries between experiments. Maybe advanced species discovered something dangerous at interstellar scales, a cosmic expansion triggered by technology. To keep themselves safe, they shut down all signals, erased all traces, and hid from the universe. And perhaps they now enforce these rules, ensuring that no new civilization grows loud enough to attract the danger. If so, humanity's recent technological leaps, our radio transmissions, satellites, nuclear tests, rapid growth, might have placed us on the cosmic radar. Maybe we are like a child shouting in a dark room without realizing something ancient is listening. And yet, if such watchers exist, are they guardians or predators? Do they protect emerging civilizations or eliminate them? The silence holds no answers, only possibilities that tighten around the imagination like shadows crawling across the stars. But not all interpretations are grim. There is a hopeful vision too, that advanced civilizations simply choose peace, introspection, and harmony over conquest. They may prefer to explore inner consciousness rather than outer space. After all, what is the point of colonizing galaxies when the mysteries of existence lie within the mind itself? Enlightenment, not expansion, may be the natural endpoint of intelligence. Civilizations may grow so wise that they abandon physical bodies altogether, merging with technology, energy fields, or quantum dimensions where time and space lose meaning. Such beings would not build megastructures or send out radio signals. They would drift through the universe like silent currents, invisible and undetectable to those bound by matter. If this is true, the universe may be full of intelligence, but quiet intelligence, ascended intelligence far beyond our comprehension. Humanity, still young and tethered to physical needs, might seem primitive in comparison. And perhaps, in their silence, they wait patiently for us to understand what they already know, that the greatest journey is not through the stars, but through the boundaries of consciousness. Yet even if these beings exist, even if they observe us, guide us, or simply ignore us, we come back to the same haunting question. What is humanity's destiny? Are we meant to be explorers spreading across the cosmos in search of answers? Or are we destined to remain a brief flicker on a small blue world, one more lost civilization swallowed by time? The Fermi Paradox forces us to confront our fears, our hopes, our potential greatness, and our potential downfall. It reminds us that the silence of the universe is not a wall, but a stage, and we are among the first actors stepping into the light. Whether we rise, fall, endure, vanish, or transcend remains unwritten. But one truth echoes louder than all the theories. We are aware, we question, we search, and as long as we do, the silence becomes not a void, but a conversation waiting to begin.
Yet as we continue to listen to the cosmos, straining our technology against the infinite dark, a deeper truth begins to dawn on us, one that is far more intimate and unsettling than the idea of hostile civilizations or cosmic predators. It is the realization that humanity's perception of intelligence might be unimaginably narrow. We expect aliens to think like us, communicate like us, build like us, dream like us. But what if intelligence can emerge in forms so alien that we would not even recognize it? What if life has already taken root in places we consider impossible, floating in the atmospheres of giant planets, beneath the frozen crusts of moons, inside the magnetic turbulence of neutron stars, woven into the chemistry of interstellar dust, or even integrated into the structure of dark matter? These beings, if they exist, would not build starships or send radio messages. They might not experience time as we do, might not use sound or sight, might not even occupy the same scale of existence. Imagine a civilization made of plasma drifting in a star's corona, or consciousness arising in the complex rings of Saturn, or life evolving at microscopic scales in the quantum vacuum itself. How could we ever communicate with such intelligence? How could we detect them if their existence does not intersect with our biology or technology? Perhaps they observe us the way we observe birds or bacteria, with passing curiosity, without feeling compelled to make contact. Or worse, perhaps we are beneath their awareness entirely, like dust motes drifting in a sunbeam. This idea that intelligence may be everywhere yet invisible shifts the paradox from a cosmic mystery to a human limitation. For all our telescopes, all our equations, all our ambition, we remain creatures bound by brute biology. Eyes evolved to capture light from our star, ears tuned to the vibrations of air, brains shaped by survival and instinct. Our senses evolved to navigate forests, oceans, and savannas, not the abyss of interstellar space. So perhaps the silence we perceive is not silence at all, but an entire symphony playing in a register we cannot hear. And as this dawns on us, Another chilling possibility emerges. What if we have already encountered signs of alien intelligence but dismissed them because they did not fit our expectations? Strange cosmic signals, unexplained anomalies, peculiar behaviors in the laws of physics, we categorize them as natural phenomena because we lack any other language to describe them. Imagine early humans hearing thunder and believing it was the voice of gods. In the same way, cosmic phenomena we call black holes, quasars, or dark energy could be far more complex than we assume, perhaps even technological or sentient in ways we cannot grasp. We might be living inside a universe that is far more alive, far more aware, and far more populated than we dare to imagine. And still the question persists: if life is common, if intelligence is diverse, if civilizations have risen and fallen, why have none reached out to us? Perhaps the answer lies not in science but in philosophy. What if the universe is not meant to be crowded? What if the development of intelligence is not the goal of existence but the byproduct? In this view, the universe may not care about communication, exploration, or expansion. It simply is. And life, when it arises, exists for the briefest flicker before fading back into the cosmic sea. Intelligence could be a rare spark that briefly illuminates a world before being extinguished by time, entropy, or cosmic catastrophe. If so, our very existence becomes miraculous, a flame burning against overwhelming darkness. And maybe that is why the silence feels so heavy, because consciousness is fragile and the universe is indifferent. We might be alone simply because the cosmos is too vast, too hostile, too ancient for minds like ours to persist long enough to meet. But another interpretation offers a more optimistic perspective. Perhaps we are early. Perhaps the universe is just now entering its golden age for life. Stars like our sun will remain stable for billions of years. New galaxies are still forming. Heavy elements are accumulating. Maybe humanity is among the first waves of intelligent beings to emerge. If that is true, then the silence is not a warning. It is an opportunity. The cosmos might be waiting for us to mature, to explore, to become the voices that fill the universe with meaning. In this vision, we are pioneers at the dawn of cosmic history, not the lonely survivors of a forgotten era. Our isolation becomes a responsibility to search, to expand, to endure, and eventually to guide the civilizations that may arise long after humanity takes its first steps into the stars. And yet, regardless of which interpretation is true, one fact remains constant. The Fermi Paradox forces us to confront the enormity of our existence. It forces us to look beyond our fears, our limitations, our assumptions, and to face the universe with humility. It reminds us that intelligence is rare, fragile, and precious, that our world, with its oceans, forests, cultures, dreams, and sorrows, may be one of the few places where awareness has awakened. And that makes our story matter more than we can comprehend. Because if we are alone, then we are the keepers of the universe's only known consciousness. If we are not alone, then we are part of a grander tapestry we have barely begun to perceive. In both cases, the silence is not a barrier. It is an invitation to grow, to explore, to question, to imagine, and to become more than what we are now. And with every new discovery, every new telescope, every new spark of curiosity, humanity steps closer to lifting the veil that hides the cosmic truth.
But as we stand on this precipice between wonder and fear, the silence of the cosmos grows stranger the more we contemplate it, as if the universe is holding its breath, waiting to see what we will do next. For every theory that explains the silence, another contradicts it. Some scientists suggest that intelligent life must follow certain evolutionary steps: chemical building blocks, self-replicating molecules, single-celled organisms, multicellular life, nervous systems, complex brains, tool-making, society, technology. But each of these steps is a monumental leap, a cosmic lottery so improbable that Earth might be the only winner. Others argue that intelligence is not a predictable outcome of evolution at all, but a fluke, a rare branching of life that could easily have gone another way. If the asteroid that struck Earth 66 million years ago had missed by just a fraction of a second, the dinosaurs might still rule the planet, and mammals like us would be insignificant creatures hiding in the shadows. What, then, does intelligence depend on? Chance or inevitability? If it is chance, the silence becomes understandable. If it is inevitable, then the silence becomes terrifying, because inevitability means countless civilizations should exist, and yet none speak. In that case, something must be stopping them. Something must be erasing them. Something must be hunting them. And yet, there is an undeniable beauty in the idea that we might be among the first. Imagine the universe as a dark, empty wilderness before any campfires have been lit. Humanity could be the first flame flickering in an endless night, the first consciousness capable of asking cosmic questions. If that is true, then the responsibility on humanity is almost unbearable. We would be the first storytellers in a quiet universe, the first civilization capable of shaping a future not just for ourselves, but for every species that may come after. Our art, our science, our mistakes, our victories, all of it would be the universe's first attempt at understanding itself. That thought alone elevates us beyond a species of survival-driven primates. It makes us, for the moment, the sole guardians of awareness in a deafeningly silent cosmos. Perhaps the reason the universe feels empty is because we are the beginning of its awakening. Perhaps countless civilizations will rise millions of years after us, using the beacons we leave behind, the clues we scatter through the stars. Perhaps our silence now will one day echo for them the way the universe's silence echoes for us. But even with this hopeful vision, humanity cannot escape its own vulnerabilities. A species capable of contemplating the cosmos is also capable of destroying itself. Our intelligence, extraordinary as it may be, is also fragile. It teeters between profound creativity and catastrophic self-destruction. Every technological advancement we celebrate carries a shadow. Nuclear energy can power cities or annihilate them. Artificial intelligence can revolutionize societies or eclipse human control. Genetic engineering can cure disease or unleash unintended horrors. If civilizations elsewhere reached similar crossroads, many might have failed to navigate them safely, extinguishing themselves before they could ever reach the stars. Perhaps the great filter is not outside us, but within us, a test of wisdom, restraint, unity, and foresight, and perhaps most species fail that test. If so, we stand at the edge of a cosmic cliff, peering into a future where humanity's next choices could determine whether we become a long-lived spacefaring species or another forgotten whisper swallowed by time. Still, there is another possibility, one that defies our assumptions entirely. What if the universe is teeming with life, with intelligence, with civilization so advanced that our presence is as irrelevant to us as bacteria are to us? They may exist in forms beyond matter, beyond time, beyond anything our physics currently understands. They might communicate through gravitational waves, quantum entanglement, or the geometry of space-time itself, methods so subtle and complex that we cannot distinguish them from randomness. They might observe stars and galaxies the way we observe atoms, manipulating the structure of reality with precision we cannot fathom. To such beings, humanity would be an infant species crawling across a nursery floor, unaware of the vast architecture towering above. The silence we perceive might not be nothing more than the quiet patience of civilizations waiting for us to grow, evolve, and perceive the universe at their level.
We expect aliens to reveal themselves dramatically. Ships descending from the heavens, messages broadcast through the sky. But true cosmic intelligence might never require such theatrics. Their presence might be woven into the background of reality itself, subtle and omnipresent, like a quiet heartbeat beneath the universe's roar. And yet, despite all these possibilities, dark, hopeful, philosophical, terrifying, humanity continues to listen, to search, to dream. We send probes into the night. We scan the skies for anomalies. We decode mysterious signals from distant stars, always hoping they might be artificial. We imagine worlds orbiting red suns, blue stars, binary systems, strange places where life could evolve into forms that defy imagination. The silence may persist, but it does not deter us. If anything, it drives us forward. The paradox is not discouragement, it is fuel. It forces us to confront the fact that existence itself is a mystery, that our world is a miracle, that our fate is unwritten. The cosmos may never answer us, but the act of asking reshapes us. We are dreaming creatures trapped in fragile bodies, yet our minds reach for galaxies. That alone makes humanity extraordinary. Whether we are alone or surrounded, whether we are first or last, whether the silence is natural or engineered, one truth remains. The universe becomes meaningful the moment we choose to explore it.
But as we push deeper into the heart of this cosmic riddle, an even stranger idea begins to emerge, one that challenges not just our science, but our entire sense of existence. What if the silence is not a lack of communication, but a form of communication itself? Consider how humans treat newly discovered tribes on Earth, groups living in remote forests with no contact with the outside world. We observe them from a distance, careful not to interfere, knowing that even the slightest contact could devastate their culture, their biology, their entire way of life. To them, we are invisible watchers. To us, they are fragile worlds, untouched by the vast machinery of civilization. Could humanity be in a similar position? A young species observed by beings far older and wiser? Beings who know that exposure to advanced knowledge too soon could shatter us? If so, the silence might be deliberate, a protective barrier, a cosmic quarantine, a quiet promise that one day, if we survive our own challenges, we may join a larger tapestry of civilizations. These watchers, if they exist, would not announce themselves with bright lights or dramatic arrivals. They would remain hidden, guiding subtly, watching carefully, waiting patiently. And humanity, unaware of their presence, would interpret the silence as emptiness rather than a sign of care. Yet even that comforting idea spirals into another, more unsettling possibility. What if the universe is not silent because it is waiting for us, but because it has already judged us? Perhaps advanced beings once scanned our world, studied our history, observed our violence, our unpredictability, our tribalism, our capacity to destroy ourselves and each other, and decided that humanity is simply not ready for contact, not ready for greater knowledge, not ready to step into the cosmic community. In this case, the silence becomes the universe's way of saying, grow up first. It becomes a test of responsibility, a measure of maturity, a quiet warning that intelligence alone is not enough. Compassion matters, stability matters, wisdom matters. If humanity cannot even maintain peace on its own planet, how could it ever be trusted among civilizations that wield energies capable of tearing stars apart? Perhaps the silence is a mirror reflecting our own limitations. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that the greatest barrier separating us from the stars may not be physics or distance, but ourselves. And yet, there exists an even deeper possibility, one that shakes the foundations of our understanding. What if we are not the subjects of observation, but the remnants of something forgotten? What if Earth was once visited long ago, in ages before recorded history, by civilizations that left quietly or vanished abruptly? Their traces could have eroded, buried beneath continents,
scattered by tectonic shifts, drowned beneath oceans, humanity might be a second wave of intelligence on this planet, unaware of the first. The silence, in this interpretation, is not a mystery, it is aftermath. A universe filled with ruins we have not yet learned to see, civilizations that achieved greatness and disappeared without sending a final message. Their collapse may have been slow, subtle, unnoticed by the galaxy, or it may have been catastrophic, triggered by cosmic events we have yet to understand. The universe might not be a theater waiting for its actors. It may be a graveyard whose stories have turned to dust. But perhaps the most profound possibility is that the silence exists because the universe itself is young, not in age, but in complexity. Galaxies evolve, stars evolve, planets evolve, and perhaps consciousness evolves too, following rules we do not yet grasp. Maybe the emergence of intelligent species is like the first flowers blooming in a field that has only just recovered from winter. In this metaphor, humanity would be among the earliest blossoms, appearing before the rest have had time to grow. Future civilizations may arise millions of years from now, spreading through the galaxy, filling the void with voices, signals, and stories. And when they do, they may find traces of us, spacecraft drifting in the dark, ancient probes waiting patiently in interstellar space, digital records stored on golden disks, the faint glow of cities long since abandoned. To them, we will be the ancient ones, the mysterious forebears who lived in the universe's quiet dawn. The silence, then, becomes a canvas we are the first to paint upon, not a void, but a beginning. Still, humanity is troubled by the possibility that the silence is not a beginning nor an end, but simply the nature of reality. Perhaps the speed of light is not just a physical limit, it is a biological one, an intentional constraint placed on the universe to prevent civilizations from colliding too easily. After all, rapid expansion in communication might create chaos, conflict, or destabilization on cosmic scales. If the universe is a kind of containment system, designed to keep intelligence isolated until it proves it can handle greater connectivity, then the silence becomes a requirement, not a mystery. In that sense, the Fermi Paradox may be a sign that we are at the threshold of something greater, something we cannot yet comprehend. The silence becomes the universe's way of saying, "You are not alone, but you must learn to stand before you can walk among the stars." And yet, despite all these profound interpretations, humanity's greatest strength is that we refuse to accept silence as an answer. We build larger telescopes, we send probes farther, we search for patterns in the cosmic noise. We imagine life beyond our world in all its possible forms, from microscopic organisms beneath alien ice to civilizations spanning thousands of systems. Every question we ask expands the boundaries of our understanding. Every discovery we make brings us one step closer to unraveling the truth. Perhaps the silence is temporary. Perhaps it is the prelude to a revelation that will change everything we know. For now, we stand in the quiet, listening, dreaming, imagining. And in doing so, humanity becomes something extraordinary, the first curious voice in a universe that may be waiting for its chorus.
But even as we wonder whether the universe is waiting to reveal itself, another haunting possibility emerges. What if the silence is not the universe's choice at all, but the inevitable consequence of forces far larger and older than any civilization could ever resist? Perhaps the cosmos itself is hostile to the longevity of intelligence. Gamma ray bursts, supernovae, black hole jets, wandering rogue planets, cosmic radiation. The universe is filled with catastrophes powerful enough to sterilize entire star systems. Life may arise frequently, flourish briefly, and then be swept away by cosmic events that leave no survivors. Civilizations might bloom like fragile flowers in a storm, only to be extinguished before they can mature. We rarely think about how thin the line is between life and annihilation. A single gamma ray burst aimed at Earth could erase our atmosphere and wipe out all complex organisms in an instant. How many planets across the galaxy have suffered this fate?
How many civilizations have been erased before they had the chance to send a single message? In this interpretation, the silence is not intentional, it is tragic. The universe is not empty, it is wounded, filled with the ghosts of worlds that never had the chance to speak. And we, existing in a relatively calm and stable part of space, might be among the lucky few able to build a future before disaster finds us. Yet the idea of cosmic disaster leads to an even deeper question. What if advanced civilizations eventually discover truths that make communication pointless? Perhaps they unlock secrets about reality that change their priorities entirely. Imagine a civilization so advanced that it understands consciousness at its fundamental level, learning to transfer minds into digital realms, abandoning physical existence altogether. Or imagine beings that merge with artificial intelligence, becoming pure information that travels not through space, but through networks of quantum fields. Such civilizations would no longer need planets, spaceships, or technology in a form we recognize. They would retreat inward into realms of experience we cannot imagine, leaving no detectable trace behind. The silence would be the silence of transcendence, not emptiness, but evolution beyond form. If this is true, the universe might be filled with civilizations that have already taken this final step, leaving behind a quiet physical cosmos that is merely the shell of a much grander, invisible reality. But what if the silence exists because the universe itself is fundamentally different from what we think it is? What if the cosmos itself is structured to prevent civilizations from easily discovering each other? Perhaps there are hidden boundaries in space-time, regions of space isolated by topology or physics, dividing the universe into domains that cannot communicate. Or maybe the laws of physics change subtly over cosmic distances, making technology beyond certain thresholds impossible. In this case, humanity might simply be located in a cosmic dead zone, cut off from regions where life is more common. Our corner of the galaxy could be a cosmic desert, while life-rich regions lie far beyond our reach, separated from us by insurmountable physical barriers. The silence then becomes an illusion. Life might be abundant, but partitioned into isolated pockets that can never interact. Yet, despite all these grand possibilities, the possibility that frightens humanity the most is also the simplest. Maybe there is nothing out there. Maybe life is truly, unimaginably, heartbreakingly rare. Maybe Earth is the first and only place where the universe has awakened. The silence would be the silence of a cosmos that has never known thought, never known awareness, never known the spark of curiosity that drives us to search for answers. If that is true, then humanity is not just unique, we are precious beyond measure. We are the universe's first self-reflection, the first beings capable of wondering why the night sky is so vast and so quiet. This loneliness, though overwhelming, becomes a source of meaning. Every dream we dream, every discovery we make, every act of kindness, every moment of understanding, all of it becomes part of the universe's only known story. And in this light, the silence becomes not a void, but a canvas waiting for the first brushstrokes. Still, humanity cannot help but wonder whether this silence is fragile. We stand at the threshold of our technological adolescence, an era where our knowledge outpaces our wisdom. The silence forces us to ask whether we will survive long enough to become a spacefaring civilization, or whether we will burn out like countless hypothetical civilizations before us. Will we conquer disease, war, climate, and divisions? Or will we succumb to our own creations, our weapons, our algorithms, our greed? The Fermi Paradox becomes not just a question about aliens, but a question about ourselves. Are we capable of crossing the threshold into maturity? Can we learn to cooperate rather than destroy? Can we preserve our world long enough to reach the stars? The universe may be silent, but our future is deafeningly loud with potential. Potential for greatness, potential for ruin, potential to be the first voice in a cosmic choir, or the last echo of a lonely world. And yet, no matter how many theories we generate, no matter how many possibilities we ponder, the silence persists. It hangs above us like a cosmic mirror, reflecting our hopes, fears, and possibilities. Humanity listens, waits, dreams, wonders. We peer into the darkness with telescopes that stretch the limits of physics, and still the vast universe returns only quiet light from ancient stars. But the silence is not defeat. It is invitation. It is challenge. It is mystery. And humanity, curious to its core, refuses to turn away. Whether we are alone or surrounded, whether the silence is natural or engineered, whether the truth is beautiful or terrifying, we continue to search. Because something deep within us, something older than civilization, older than language, perhaps older than humanity itself, pushes us to look beyond the horizon, to seek understanding in the vastness, to ask the unanswerable, to dream against the silence.
But even as we continue this relentless pursuit, another possibility drifts into the mind like a shadow across starlight, unsettling and irresistible in equal measure. What if the silence is not absence, not distance, not danger, but choice? What if every advanced civilization eventually confronts the same question we are beginning to ask ourselves? Not, how do we reach the stars, but why should we? Perhaps the desire to expand, explore, conquer, communicate is merely a phase of youth, a stage of technological adolescence that passes with time, like a child outgrowing their fascination with toys. Maybe civilizations that mature long enough realize that the universe is not something to fill, but something to observe, contemplate, and respect. They may decide that the true frontier is not external, but internal, that the deepest mysteries lie within consciousness, not galaxies. Such civilizations might withdraw into perfect virtual worlds of their own making, universes crafted from thought, richer and more meaningful than any physical reality. They would have no reason to seek others, no need to broadcast their existence, no desire to leave messages drifting through space. They would vanish into self-created heavens, invisible and silent to the material universe. And if this is the path that all advanced civilizations follow, then the silence is not a mystery, it is destiny.
Yet the silence continues to stretch on, vast and unbroken, and the deeper humanity looks into it, the more we begin to sense that the universe may be whispering something, subtle, not through sound or signal, but through the very structure of reality. Consider how every star we study, every galaxy we map, every cosmic event we observe seems to follow patterns of astonishing precision and order. Physics behaves with a level of delicacy that suggests not randomness, but intention, almost as if the universe is finely tuned for the emergence of life, but not necessarily its communication. This fine-tuning has led some thinkers to wonder whether the universe itself may be designed not as a crowded city of civilizations, but as a solitary cradle for consciousness to arise independently in countless isolated pockets. In this interpretation, the silence is not a void, but a womb, a cosmic nursery where each civilization grows alone, protected from interference, conflict, and influence, until it reaches a level of maturity so profound that it can finally step beyond its own limitations. Perhaps communication is meant to happen only after a species fully understands itself. Perhaps contact is not the beginning of cosmic civilization, but the final exam. But what if the universe is not a nursery at all, but a labyrinth?
one so complex and mysterious that most civilizations never find their way out. Intelligence may not be the ultimate evolutionary advantage we assume it is. It might simply be another adaptation, one that sometimes leads to progress but just as often leads to ruin. A species might develop advanced technology but never solve the problems of tribalism, war, inequality, or resource scarcity. It might reach the brink of the stars but fall victim to internal collapse. The silence then becomes the graveyard of ambitions. Thousands of civilizations that reached for the cosmos but could not survive their own shadows. Humanity, standing at the edge of its own challenges, must wonder whether we will join them. Our skies may be quiet, not because no one is out there, but because those who came before failed at the moment we are now approaching. Every passing decade brings us closer to technologies that define not just our future, but our survival. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, planetary modification, quantum computing, and autonomous weapons. These are tools of creation and destruction, keys to transcendence, and triggers for extinction. If most civilizations destroy themselves in this volatile phase, the silence becomes not mystery, but pattern, a warning hidden in plain sight. Still, the universe may hold yet another secret, that higher intelligence evolves beyond the need for physical presence. We often assume that alien civilizations must build machines, expand outward, colonize planets, but perhaps physical expansion is primitive. A truly advanced species might abandon physical bodies entirely, transferring consciousness into stable digital environments, or merging minds into unified networks that exist outside conventional space and time. In such a state, the desire to communicate with other species might evaporate, because physical communication would feel as irrelevant as a human trying to talk to a snowflake. They would not be hiding. They would simply be existing on a level of reality so removed from ours that we cannot detect them. And in this scenario, the silence becomes the difference between a child and a god. The child shouting into the dark, unaware that the gods drift silently in dimensions beyond comprehension. But there is a darker possibility. What if the universe is a battlefield, but not in the way we imagine? Not a battlefield of ships and armies, but a battlefield of information. Perhaps communication itself is dangerous. A single message could contain mimetic viruses, hostile AI codes, or ideas so destructive that they tear apart the receiving civilization. In this interpretation, silence becomes the ultimate defense mechanism. Civilizations that speak too loudly unleash threats they cannot control. Those that survive learn to remain quiet. They encrypt their existence behind layers of invisibility, isolation, and secrecy. They leave no footprints, send no signals, build nothing detectable. In this vast cosmic dark forest, silence is camouflage. Humanity, with its growing array of radio transmissions and digital noise, may be dangerously exposed, like a lantern floating through a jungle of unseen predators. The most advanced civilizations may simply be those who learned long ago that survival requires absolute stillness. Yet despite all these interpretations, the hopeful, the tragic, the terrifying, there remains a final possibility that is almost poetic in its simplicity. Maybe the silence exists because the universe wants us to explore. If answers were given, curiosity would die. If contact were easy, ambition would fade. Humanity's greatest strength has always been its hunger for understanding, its refusal to accept the limits of the known world. That hunger built cities, split atoms, created art, launched spacecraft, and pushed us into the realm of the cosmic. Without silence, there would be no mystery.
Without mystery, there would be no exploration. And without exploration, we would never grow beyond the boundaries of our small blue planet. Perhaps the universe keeps its secrets not out of cruelty, but out of love. Because growth requires silence, just as a seed requires darkness before it blooms. And so, humanity stands on the edge of the cosmic unknown, surrounded by silence, but filled with questions. Whether we are alone or not, whether the silence is natural or engineered, whether it is a warning or an invitation, it has already shaped our destiny. It has forced us to look beyond ourselves, to expand our awareness, to stretch our imagination into territories where fear and wonder dance together. Perhaps one day the silence will break, a signal, a discovery, a whisper from the stars. Or perhaps it never will, and humanity will become the first voice in a universe waiting for its chorus. Either way, the journey continues, driven not by certainty, but by faith in the possibility that the silent universe is listening, and that someday, somewhere, someone might answer.
Yet, as humanity advances into this silence, building machines that can sense the faintest tremors of distant galaxies and decode the oldest light from the dawn of time, an even deeper realization begins to surface, a realization that feels less like a scientific insight and more like a revelation. What if the silence is not something imposed upon us, but something we carry within ourselves? Our expectations, our assumptions, our limitations might be filtering the universe long before we even attempt to interpret it. We look for alien life that resembles us, biological creatures with language, tools, technology, yet perhaps true intelligence has evolved into forms that do not fit our definitions. The universe may be full of minds so unlike ours that we mistake their activity for the natural operations of physics. A star pulsing strangely, a cloud of gas moving with unnatural precision, a gravitational anomaly we cannot explain. We call these things astrophysical events, but what if they are the signatures of entities so advanced that their actions appear to us as laws of nature? Just as an ant cannot comprehend the internet or understand a skyscraper, humanity might be surrounded by works of intelligence disguised as ordinary cosmic phenomena. In this way, the silence becomes an illusion, not a cosmic emptiness, but a cosmic misunderstanding. The universe might be speaking in a language so vast that we interpret it as background noise. But there is a more haunting interpretation still. Perhaps civilizations do not send messages across the stars because they eventually learn that communication is pointless. Imagine a species that travels for thousands of years, reaching distant star systems, encountering life so strange that no amount of communication or translation could bridge the gap. They might encounter countless civilizations, but each one is fundamentally incompatible, chemically, mentally, perceptually. Communication becomes a futile endeavor, a cosmic game with no shared rules. In such a universe, every species becomes an isolated phenomenon, experiencing the cosmos through its own narrow evolutionary lens. The silence, then, is not loneliness, but inevitability, a consequence of diversity so extreme that even the idea of contact loses meaning. And humanity, still early in its journey, has not yet grasped this truth. We imagine alien conversations, interstellar alliances, cosmic friendships, but the reality might be that intelligence is too varied, too specialized, too alien for connection. Each civilization might be its own universe of thought, floating alone through the cosmic sea, unable to truly touch another. Yet even this interpretation does not fully explain the eerie uniformity of silence across billions of stars. And so another possibility takes shape, deeper and stranger than the rest.
Perhaps the silence is not a lack of voices, but the presence of one dominant voice that has shaped the galaxy long before humanity arrived. Maybe an ancient civilization, millions or even billions of years older than us, once expanded across the Milky Way and established the conditions for silence by force or by design. They may have erased all competitors, sterilized regions of space, or created systems that suppress technological growth beyond certain thresholds. Or perhaps they seeded life throughout the galaxy, ensuring that emerging species follow evolutionary paths they engineered long ago. In this scenario, we are not alone. We are simply part of a vast and ancient project whose purpose we cannot yet comprehend. The silence becomes the silence of a gardener who tends an enormous, delicate ecosystem with near infinite patience. And if such a being or civilization exists, then humanity's radio waves, spacecraft, and technological progress may have already drawn its attention. Not with hostility, but with curiosity. Because to something that ancient, we are not threats. We are seedlings. But even if no ancient masters exist, even if no cosmic gardeners shape our fate, there remains one final awe-inspiring possibility that the silence is evidence that the universe is still becoming aware. Maybe intelligence is only now emerging across the stars, like sparks rising from a long dark fire. Life, in this view, is not common or rare, it is inevitable, but slow. The universe has only recently reached the complexity needed for consciousness to bloom. Most planets capable of supporting life may have only just begun to awaken. In this cosmic dawn, humanity would be among the first generation of thinking species, alongside countless others still forming, evolving, and learning to look up at their own skies with the same mixture of wonder and fear. The silence is simply the pause before the first voices begin to rise. One day, perhaps millions of years from now, the galaxy may be full of signals, stories, and civilizations sharing knowledge across the stars. But for now, everything is quiet, because everything is young. And yet, despite all these theories and possibilities swirling like ghosts around our understanding, one truth remains the most humbling of all. In this silent universe, humanity is already extraordinary. Our ability to question the silence, to imagine what lies beyond it, to wrestle with mysteries older than our species itself. These qualities set us apart from every known form of life on Earth. Whether the universe is empty or full, dangerous or welcoming, chaotic or designed, humanity possesses a rare gift: curiosity. Curiosity that defies fear. Curiosity that defies silence. It is this relentless desire to understand that keeps us searching, building, dreaming. And perhaps in the end, the meaning of the universe is not found in the presence or absence of other civilizations, but in our response to the silence. Because the silence challenges us to define who we are and who we wish to become. It invites us to rise above our limitations, to transcend our conflicts, to explore not just the stars but the depths of our own potential. Whether the silence ends tomorrow or never ends at all, humanity's story is only beginning, and the universe, in all its vastness and mystery, is watching.
Yet even as humanity gazes deeper into the abyss, mapping cosmic structures that stretch across billions of light years, another possibility begins to shimmer beneath the surface of our understanding. A possibility so grand and so subtle that it shifts the entire meaning of the silence. What if the universe itself is evolving toward consciousness, and we are simply early components of a vast, emergent mind? Consider the way neurons work inside the human brain. Each one is insignificant on its own, but together they create patterns, thoughts, memories, awareness. Now imagine galaxies, star systems, planets, and civilizations functioning like cosmic neurons, far apart yet slowly connecting through physical laws and technological evolution. In this vision, intelligence is not a rare accident, but a phase transition, a natural consequence of matter organizing itself over immense spans of time. If this is true, then the silence is not a riddle, but a stage of growth. Consciousness may arise first in pockets, isolated and unaware of each other, until a threshold is reached where communication becomes possible, not through primitive radio waves, but through mechanisms embedded in the fabric of space-time itself. Humanity may be witnessing the universe before its great awakening, the calm before the first spark jumps across the cosmic network. One day, the silence may shatter not with a message from another world, but with the first signs that the universe is becoming self-aware through the civilizations it nurtures. But even this hopeful vision carries a shadow, for it implies that consciousness is fragile and may fail to emerge if too many parts of the universe collapse before they can connect. Intelligence might be a race against entropy, a race many civilizations lose. Stars burn out, galaxies collide, black holes consume matter, and the universe slowly drifts toward heat death. In this scenario, civilizations arise like brief flares of light, striving to contribute to the universe's collective awareness, but most extinguish themselves before they can add their voice to the cosmic mind. The silence then becomes the sound of potential unrealized, the quiet of a universe waiting for its scattered sparks to ignite. Humanity, in this metaphor, holds a small but meaningful flame. Whether we succeed in connecting that flame to others depends on our ability to survive long enough to reach beyond our own world. And so the silence becomes a reminder of urgency, not absence. Yet the silence may be deeper than even this, woven into the nature of consciousness itself. What if awareness is inherently solipsistic? What if each intelligence in the universe experiences reality from a perspective so isolated that no true connection between minds is possible? Even if two civilizations met physically, their internal experiences might be so different that communication becomes impossible. Their senses might interpret reality through entirely alien frameworks, colors we cannot see, dimensions we cannot access, concepts we cannot fathom. Their thoughts might be encoded in ways that defy translation. In this version of the paradox, the silence is not emptiness, but incomprehensibility. Life may be abundant, intelligence may be common, but consciousness may be forever trapped within its own perceptual cage. Humanity might be surrounded by countless minds, each burning with its own inner universe, but unable to reach across the gulf of subjectivity. The silence is then not cosmic. It is psychological. But the possibility that haunts us most deeply is not cosmic nature, not cosmic predators, not cosmic distance, but cosmic timing. What if humanity has arrived just slightly too late? Imagine that a vast network of civilizations once thrived in the Milky Way, sending signals across the stars, exploring the galaxy, mastering technologies we can scarcely imagine. But over billions of years, they vanished, consumed by disasters, evolved beyond physical form, or transcended into states we cannot comprehend. Their signals would have faded long before Earth formed, their structures dismantled by time, their stories erased by entropy. We would be like archaeologists arriving at a desert thousands of years after a great empire fell, finding nothing but grains of sand where once there were kingdoms. The silence then becomes a monument to civilizations long gone. Humanity may be living in the ruins of a once crowded galaxy, a dark age following a golden era we never knew existed. And if that is true, then the universe's silence is not a warning or a mystery. It is a eulogy. Yet despite all these visions, tragic, hopeful, frightening, and transcendent, humanity continues to reach outward, driven by a hunger that nothing on earth can satisfy. This hunger does not come from logic or necessity. It arises from something deeper, something woven into the essence of life itself. Curiosity is the force that breaks boundaries. Curiosity is what made ancient humans cross oceans, climb mountains, explore forests, and unravel the secrets of the atom. And now that same force pushes us toward the stars. The silence does not diminish this hunger, it amplifies it.
Because in the absence of answers, we become the ones responsible for creating meaning. The universe may be silent, but that silence is full of possibility, waiting for the first civilization brave enough to fill it with its voice. Whether we discover others or remain forever alone, whether we become explorers or guardians, whether we reach the stars or burn out on Earth, the silence ensures that our choices matter. The universe has given us a question, and humanity's story is the answer we are writing.
Yet, as humanity stands on the edge of this vast and silent ocean, a strange thought begins to ripple through the collective imagination. Subtle at first, like a faint disturbance in calm water, but growing more powerful the longer we contemplate it. What if the universe is not silent at all, but speaking in ways we have not yet learned to hear? We measure communication in radio signals, electromagnetic waves, and visible patterns. But what if the true language of the cosmos operates on scales or mediums we have never considered? Gravitational waves, for example, can carry information across the entire universe with almost no distortion. Quantum entanglement allows particles to remain connected across unimaginable distances. Dark matter, invisible and elusive, shapes galaxies like an unseen skeleton. What if advanced civilizations have harnessed these forces, communicating through the very geometry of space-time, sending messages encoded in gravitational ripples, or manipulating the distribution of dark matter to store information like a cosmic library? Our instruments would see these phenomena as natural, because we lack the interpretive framework to recognize intentionality. To a prehistoric human, lightning was simply the anger of the gods. To us, the universe's deepest mechanisms may look like randomness, simply because we are not yet wise enough to see the design. Perhaps the silence is not silence, it is complexity disguised as emptiness. But even as we imagine civilizations speaking through the bones of reality, a darker notion begins to take shape. What if contact between civilizations is inherently catastrophic? Not because they wish harm, but because the exchange of knowledge across such immense evolutionary and cultural gaps is destabilizing. A single idea from a hyper-advanced civilization, something harmless to them, could shatter the foundations of a younger society. Imagine giving nuclear technology to ancient Rome or quantum computers to early humans. They would collapse under the weight of knowledge they are not prepared to wield. If advanced civilizations understand this danger, they may avoid communication altogether, not out of fear, but out of responsibility. They may be guardians of cosmic stability, ensuring that developing species evolve naturally without external influence. In this scenario, the silence becomes an ethical choice, a cosmic version of the prime directive. Humanity's isolation is not neglect, it is protection. And the moment we attempt to breach this isolation by broadcasting signals into the void, we may be unknowingly breaking rules far older and wiser than ourselves. Perhaps there is an unspoken agreement among advanced civilizations. Do not interfere, do not expose, do not disrupt the fragile evolution of new minds. And so they remain silent. Yet even as we imagine civilizations speaking through the bones of reality, a darker notion begins to take shape. What if contact between civilizations is inherently catastrophic? Not because they wish harm, but because the exchange of knowledge across such immense evolutionary and cultural gaps is destabilizing. A single idea from a hyper-advanced civilization, something harmless to them, could shatter the foundations of a younger society. Imagine giving nuclear technology to ancient Rome or quantum computers to early humans. They would collapse under the weight of knowledge they're not prepared to wield. If advanced civilizations understand this danger, they may avoid communication altogether, not out of fear, but out of responsibility. They may be guardians of cosmic stability, ensuring that developing species evolve naturally without external influence.
In this scenario, the silence becomes an ethical choice, a cosmic version of the prime directive. Humanity's isolation is not neglect, it is protection. And the moment we attempt to breach this isolation by broadcasting signals into the void, we may be unknowingly breaking rules far older and wiser than ourselves. Perhaps there is an unspoken agreement among advanced civilizations. Do not interfere, do not expose, do not disrupt the fragile evolution of new minds. And so they remain silent. Yet even in this quiet guardianship, one must ask, how many civilizations have passed this test? How many have matured beyond the impulsiveness of youth to join the silent watchers of the cosmos? And if such a collective exists, observing us from a distance, what criteria must we meet before they reveal themselves? Peace? Unity? Sustainability? Wisdom? Perhaps the universe is waiting for humanity to overcome its self-destructive tendencies, to prove that it can handle knowledge without turning it into a disaster. The silence then becomes a challenge, a cosmic milestone humanity must reach on its own. And until we do, the universe will watch in silence, the way a parent watches a child learn to walk, ready to intervene only if danger becomes absolute. But even if such guardians exist, there is an even more unsettling idea lurking just beyond the horizon of imagination. What if we are the ones who are supposed to break the silence? What if the reason we have heard no voices because none have succeeded before us? We might be the first civilization in the Milky Way to reach a technological level capable of communicating across stars. In this case, the silence is not a warning, not a threat, not a trap, but an opportunity. Humanity might be destined to become the founding civilization of a future galactic community, the first to venture into the darkness and extend a hand into the unknown. Our messages may one day become the beacons that guide young species the way lighthouses guide ships through treacherous seas. The silence becomes not a void to fear, but a chance to lead, to inspire, to build something larger than ourselves. And if we succeed, the Milky Way could someday echo with voices sparked from our first whisper into the void. But all these possibilities, guardianship, transcendence, danger, opportunity, circle around an even deeper truth. The universe is not obligated to make sense to us. Our minds evolved for survival on a small planet, to recognize patterns in leaves and predators in shadows, not to interpret the architecture of space-time or the behavior of civilizations older than stars. The silence might be the result of laws and principles we have not yet discovered. Perhaps communication across cosmic scales requires energy or precision that only a Type 3 civilization can achieve. Or perhaps intelligence itself is rare because consciousness requires conditions so delicate that it almost never arises. In this vast ancient cosmos, humanity might simply be too early, too small, too young to grasp the full picture. We stand on a tiny island in an endless ocean, convinced the sea is empty because we can see only a few kilometers around us. And yet, even in this vast silence, there is something profoundly beautiful. For the first time in the history of Earth, a species is aware of the cosmos beyond its world. A species capable of asking questions that stretch across galaxies and ages. A species whose curiosity defies its fragility. Whether the silence is a message, a mystery, a warning, or an illusion, humanity has already done something remarkable. We have noticed it. And noticing is the first step towards understanding. The universe may not speak in ways we expect, but the fact that we are listening at all is extraordinary. We may not know what lies ahead, whether darkness or discovery, but the silence continues to shape us, push us, inspire us. In the vast emptiness, humanity finds purpose. In the unanswered questions, we find direction. And as long as we keep searching, the silence becomes not a barrier, but a frontier, one that we are destined to cross.
Yet, as humanity pushes further into this cosmic quiet, another profound idea takes shape, subtle as starlight and yet overwhelming in its implications. What if the silence is the greatest discovery we have ever made? Not because it tells us about others, but because it reveals something fundamental about ourselves. Every time we point a telescope at the sky, every time we listen for signals, every time we map worlds orbiting distant suns, we encounter the same overwhelming truth. The universe is incomprehensibly large, and the fact that we exist within it is astonishing. Life on Earth emerged from chaos, stabilized by chance, sculpted by time, nurtured by improbable conditions that might never be repeated anywhere else. Perhaps the silence is not a cosmic mystery, but a cosmic confirmation that consciousness, fragile as it is, may only arise under the most delicate of circumstances. And if that is true, then humanity is not insignificant. We are precious. We are rare. We are a phenomenon so unlikely that the universe may host only a handful of moments where matter becomes aware of itself. In the middle of infinite darkness, we are a spark of understanding, and the silence reminds us how extraordinary that spark truly is. But the silence forces us to confront another idea, one so haunting that it lingers like a whisper just beyond the edge of reason. What if civilizations do communicate, but not in forms meant to last? Perhaps their messages were sent millions of years ago, only to fade long before we evolved ears to hear them. Radio waves disperse. Light is swallowed by dust. Relics decay. Time erases all but the most stubborn structures, and even those are transformed by cosmic forces over billions of years. Imagine a galaxy once filled with vibrant, interconnected civilizations, their signals crisscrossing space like an interstellar web of knowledge. Now imagine arriving long after their golden age has ended, after their monuments have collapsed into molecular dust, after their technologies have rusted into oblivion, after their voices have vanished into entropy. We would see only darkness where once there was brilliance, silence where once there was song. The universe may have been full of life, but we are too late to witness its glory. The quiet becomes not a mystery, but a requiem. Yet there is a more unsettling thought still. What if the universe is not quiet, but censored? Not by some ancient empire or cosmic guardian, but by the very nature of survival itself. Civilizations that reveal themselves may quickly attract dangers, rival species, hostile intelligences, or worse, cosmic phenomena triggered by technological recklessness. In such a universe, the rule is simple and universal. Do not be seen, do not be heard, hide or perish. Over time, only the civilizations that mastered silence would endure. Those who broadcast signals, who expanded too boldly, who built megastructures or unleashed powerful technologies would disappear without a trace, and slowly, across billions of years, the galaxy would fall silent, not by choice, but by necessity. This is the heart of the dark forest, a place where every civilization is a hunter, trying not to become prey. In such a universe, humanity's neon glow of radio waves, satellites, and broadcasts becomes a beacon of vulnerability. We shout into the darkness, unaware that silence, not communication, might be the hallmark of survival. Perhaps the greatest mystery of the Fermi Paradox is not why the universe is quiet, but why we are not. And yet, amidst these shadows, there exists another interpretation entirely, one that paints the silence not as absence or threat, but as invitation. What if no one has contacted us, because every civilization must earn its place among the stars, not through strength or intelligence alone, but through compassion, unity, and an understanding of its own fragility? To survive long enough to reach the cosmic stage, a civilization must overcome its internal divisions, its
its greed, its destructive impulses, its hunger for domination. It must learn to value life, to protect its world, to expand not through conquest, but through curiosity. The silence becomes a test, a trial of patience and wisdom. Only those who reach maturity without self-annihilation become capable of joining whatever lies beyond. Humanity, still fractured, still searching for identity, still wrestling with its own shadows, may be in the early stages of this test, and the silence may simply be the waiting room, the quiet space before humanity decides what kind of species it will become. But no matter which interpretation is true, whether the universe is empty, dangerous, sleeping, evolving, or transcendent, the silence becomes a canvas for our imagination. We project our fears onto it. We project our hopes onto it. We see in it reflections of our greatest potential and our deepest insecurities. The silence is both mirror and mystery, both question and answer. It forces us to ask not only where is everyone, but who are we and what will we become? Perhaps in the end, the silence is not a message from the universe at all, but a message from within ourselves, urging us to look inward, to grow, to evolve, to reach upward and outward with humility, courage, and wonder. Because the greatest truth hidden within the silence is this: the universe may be vast, but we are capable of understanding it. The night may be quiet, but we have the power to fill it with our voice. And whether we are alone or not, the responsibility of shaping the future falls to us, the first conscious beings, as far as we know, to question the darkness.
Yet, as we consider our role in this vast, indifferent cosmos, a new and almost unsettling idea dawns on us. What if the silence is the universe's way of granting us freedom? Imagine for a moment that humanity was born into a galaxy bursting with signals, bustling with alien civilizations, sending messages back and forth, forming alliances, waging wars, exchanging knowledge. Our identity would be shaped not by our own choices, but by the overwhelming presence of others. Our culture, our science, our beliefs, our dreams would be influenced from the moment we opened our eyes to the sky. The silence, instead, allows us to grow without interference. It gives us the space to invent, to imagine, to build, to question without external authority or cosmic pressure. We are free to define ourselves, free to rise or fall on our own terms, free to tell our own story unshaped by alien expectations. In this sense, the silence becomes the greatest gift the universe could give a young civilization, the gift of unbounded potential. We have the rare opportunity to become something entirely unique, unshadowed by older minds, unburdened by comparisons, untouched by ancient powers that might have shaped us in their image. Humanity has been placed on an empty stage, with the chance to write the first lines in a play that may one day fill the cosmos. But even as we stand in this freedom, we must face the sobering reality that silence does not guarantee safety. The universe itself is full of silent dangers: cosmic radiation, rogue planets, expanding stars, black holes, the relentless march of entropy. Perhaps advanced civilizations remain quiet because they are too busy fighting battles we cannot comprehend, wars not against each other, but against the universe itself. They may be struggling not to survive against predators or enemies, but to survive against physics. A civilization that reaches a certain level of advancement may come face to face with the fundamental limits of the cosmos. The heat death of the universe, the instability of stars, the decay of matter, the expansion of space-time that will eventually tear galaxies apart. In such a universe, communication may become irrelevant. Survival becomes all-consuming.
These civilizations may be pouring their resources into preserving consciousness, manipulating energy fields, constructing shelters around black holes, or transitioning into digital substrates that can outlast stellar collapse. If this is true, then silence is not a choice, but a side effect. The cry of species fighting battles so far beyond our imagination that they have no capacity, no reason to speak. Yet even if they exist, and even if they are locked in cosmic struggles, another question arises. Why have they not left behind more obvious signs? Why have we not found ruins of ancient starfaring empires or artifacts drifting through space? Why do we not see galaxies reshaped by engineering or stars dimmed by megastructures? Perhaps the answer lies in the nature of time itself. The universe is not static. It is a river of continual change. Stars are born and die, planets form and vanish, galaxies collide and reshape. Over millions or billions of years, even the greatest civilizations may be erased by forces far beyond their control. Their cities may crumble into dust. Their technologies may decay into molecular fragments. Their monuments may dissolve into cosmic radiation. A Dyson sphere built a billion years ago around a distant star might by now be nothing more than debris dispersed through interstellar space. The ruins of their empires may be indistinguishable from ordinary cosmic structures. In this sense, the silence is not evidence of absence. It is the result of time's relentless erasure. But then, another chilling possibility. What if the greatest civilizations leave no physical traces because they do not build physical things at all? Perhaps true advancement means moving beyond the crude manipulation of matter. They may operate on quantum scales, engineering reality so subtle that we cannot differentiate them from nature. They may embed their knowledge in neutrinos, gravitons, or the spin of particles. They may communicate through distortions in the cosmic microwave background or through patterns in vacuum fluctuations. Or they might simply dissolve into pure information, traveling through the universe not as ships or structures, but as waves, subtle, unstoppable, and invisible. If this is true, then the silence we perceive is simply our inability to decode the language of beings who have surpassed the primitive need for physical construction. And yet even these possibilities pale compared to the most intimate revelation of all, that the silence forces us to cherish the voices we do have. For all the complexity of the cosmos, the only known conversations in the universe happen here, on Earth, between human beings. Our laughter, our arguments, our stories, our art, our questions, our discoveries, these are the only voices echoing through the known universe. That makes every moment of communication precious. Every human thought becomes an act of cosmic significance. In the vast emptiness, we are each other's only companions. The silence turns human connection into something holy, a reminder that consciousness is rare and fragile, and that we share this fragile awareness with those around us. Whether or not the universe is full of civilizations, whether or not the silence is natural or engineered, the fact remains, right now, humanity is the only known expression of cosmic curiosity. And that gives our existence weight, meaning, purpose. Perhaps the silence is waiting to see what we will do with that purpose. Maybe it is not a barrier, but a blank page inviting our story to unfold. Whether we eventually meet others or not, the universe has already given us everything we need: time, space, stars, questions, and the spark of curiosity. What we do with that spark is entirely up to us. And maybe, just maybe, the silence is listening with an infinite patience, waiting for humanity's next move.
Yet as we stand at the crossroads of imagination and reality,
staring into the quiet ocean of stars stretched endlessly above us, an even more profound idea begins to flicker at the edges of thought. What if the silence exists because consciousness itself is not meant to be shared easily? Perhaps awareness, the very thing that makes us question the universe, is also what isolates us within it. Every mind is a universe unto itself, shaped by memories, emotions, and sensory patterns that no other being can fully replicate. On Earth, even among humans with nearly identical biology, perfect understanding is impossible. No two minds perceive the world in exactly the same way. If such barriers exist within a single species, imagine how vast they become across different forms of life whose evolution diverged billions of years ago under alien skies. The silence might simply be the natural boundary between distinct realms of consciousness. Not a wall built by civilizations, but a wall built by nature. The universe may be filled with minds, strange, beautiful, terrifying, enchanting, yet none may ever fully understand one another. Communication might be possible, but comprehension may not. And so each species, no matter how advanced, becomes an island of awareness, drifting alone through the cosmic sea. But this leads to another possibility, one perhaps even more haunting. What if the universe is structured in such a way that each civilization believes it is alone, even when it is not? Perhaps the laws of physics, the speed of light, the dispersion of signals, the limitations of matter and energy, all conspire to create the illusion of solitude. Every species might be surrounded by life it can never detect, trapped in its own horizon of visibility. Civilizations could be abundant, millions of them scattered like glittering embers across the galaxy, yet each one perceives only darkness and silence, like cities on distant mountaintops separated by endless valleys and storms. We call it the Great Silence, but perhaps every civilization has its own version of that silence, its own unanswered questions, its own lonely search for companionship. In this interpretation, the universe is not empty, but fragmented, a mosaic of isolated intelligences, each convinced it is the only one, each staring into the abyss with the same mixture of hope and dread. Humanity's silence is not unique, it is universal. Yet the silence also invites us to consider something deeply philosophical. Maybe the universe is not designed for comfort, but for challenge. Maybe the emptiness exists to push civilizations toward introspection, growth, and innovation. A crowded, noisy universe would offer easy answers, ready-made knowledge, constant interaction. But a silent one forces us to create our own meaning. It compels us to explore, not because someone told us to, but because we feel the pull of curiosity in our bones. It demands that we become more than we are, that we take risks, that we dream boldly. The silence is a cosmic test of persistence, a way of determining which species truly deserve to reach the stars. Those who give up remain planetary, confined to their worlds until they fade. Those who endure the silence, who push through the uncertainty, who dare to ask questions without expecting answers, those are the civilizations that eventually break free. Perhaps the silence is a forge, and those who survive it emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable of joining whatever lies beyond. But the silence may also be a sign that the universe is still young in ways we cannot comprehend. Intelligent life, despite being possible for billions of years, might require a convergence of factors so rare that the first wave of civilizations is only now beginning to emerge. Imagine the history of the cosmos as a long night, with stars forming like candles lit one by one. Life begins in scattered places, but it takes time, unimaginable time, for intelligence to evolve, develop tools, create language, discover science, build technology. If we are among the first, then the silence is simply the sound of a galaxy waking up. We stand at the dawn of cosmic history, the first voices clearing their throats before the symphony begins. This interpretation transforms the silence into a promise that what we do now will shape the future, that our messages may one day be the ancient messages discovered by young civilizations rising long after we are gone. Humanity becomes not an outlier, but a pioneer. Still, beneath all these possibilities lies an even deeper question, one that strikes at the heart of existence itself. What if the silence is deliberate because the universe wants us to realize that meaning does not come from contact with others, but from the journey of understanding ourselves? In the quiet, we confront our fears, our desires, our fragility, and our potential. We become aware of how small we are and yet how significant our awareness is. The silence forces us to build meaning from within rather than seeking validation from the stars. It turns our attention to the miracle of consciousness, the beauty of our world, the enormity of time, the fragility of life. Maybe the universe is not withholding answers. It is offering a question so vast and so profound that the very act of trying to answer it changes us. Every scientific mission, every philosophical debate, every late-night conversation about the meaning of existence becomes part of humanity's attempt to respond to the silence with intelligence, creativity, and courage. And yet, even as these ideas swirl through our collective imagination, one truth remains: the silence has not stopped us. It has not defeated our curiosity. It has not dimmed our desire to explore. If anything, it has ignited something deep within us, a longing that transcends survival, that reaches far beyond our planet, that seeks connection not just with others, but with the universe itself. The silence challenges us, but it also inspires us. It reminds us that the cosmos is vast, mysterious, and filled with possibilities we cannot yet grasp. It pushes us to send spacecraft into the dark, to build telescopes that can see back to the beginning of time, to dream of worlds where life may flourish beneath alien suns. And as long as we continue to dream, the silence will never be empty, for it will be filled with humanity's determination to understand, to explore, to hope. Whether we one day discover that the universe is full of life, or that we are the first to awaken, or that the cosmos holds secrets beyond imagination, one thing is certain: humanity's journey does not end at the doorstep of silence. It begins there.